I would be more than happy, I like to know what you were doing. I mean, that is my expertise, accounting. If I could serve the township in that capacity, I'd be more than happy. Being the auditor, I'm familiar with many of the bills that need to be paid, the procedures, and I believe Lorraine was working on a part-time basis. And, caring for being a caregiver for my mom, that would probably work out very, very well. So I'd like to officially let you know I'm interested in that position if it goes out to the general public.
Right.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Okay. Public comment on the agenda items.
On the new business, old business, everything? Is that what you're asking for?
Anything on the agenda?
Huh? Okay. I haven't seen it, but I think you have planning commission on there as an item, right? And just, as everybody knows, we've got 4 applicants, is that right, or has that changed?
I don't know, whatever.
It
I
was
think there was
4.
4.
Yeah.
That I seen last.
And we have 2 openings. I know that, we have a couple of applicants who have had their letters of interest in for some time, Linda being one of them. She put her original notification of interest back in November of 2015. As you know, Linda, we all know Linda, she has spent a lot of time doing independent learning about land development process, about the municipality's planning code, all things related in between, and she has really gotten a firm grasp on that. We have Terry Bird, who put in an application or letter of interest to Kevin back in December 2017. Again, he spent a lot of time learning about land development process, Act 319. Both of these things I think are great. We do have, as of 2015, the municipality's planning code was updated, so we can actually now have alternates, which we've never had. An alternate would be the same as a planning commission member. They can, attend everything, deliberate, make motions, all that good stuff. They don't vote. The time that they would vote is if we were short of a quorum, then they would be called in to vote. And let's say there's a project where a planning commission member would, because of conflict of interest, illness, whatever isn't there for, so let's say land development takes 3 meetings, 4 meetings to get done. Once that alternate is assigned to be working on that, they see it through. So it's not like they're only there for the 1 meeting where the land development's discussed. They're there for the 3, 4, however many meetings it takes to get it done. I think that's a good way to kind of have a feeder in there for when we do have, turnover in the planning commission, that we have people who are familiar with stuff. So I thought that was, an excellent way to perhaps think about addressing the shortage, because I know we do have 4 people who are interested. And, if there's any, this is this is what got passed in 2015. If anybody's interested in reading it, but it's pretty straightforward. So that's my synopsis of the situation. We have 5. We're functioning with 5. We still have a quorum. So that's my 2 cents on the issue.
I like that idea, having some people that could fill in.
Yeah.
I agree not to vote until somebody's not there.
Right.
Yeah, just to fill in that. But they should be at all the meetings to see what's going on.
Just like zoning hearing where Joan is an alternate, she, went back last night into this room and deliberated with them and was, I assume, fully part of the discussion, so.
I think it's a great idea.
I have a question.
Yep.
So if 7 is the size of the hearing board, the quorum is 4.
We can have up 1 to 3 alternates.
No, what I'm saying
sorry.
is a quorum is 4. Is that correct? What's a quorum?
Well, I guess, yeah, I was basing it on our 5. Yeah, we're still making it, but yeah, we're kind of, yeah, a quorum will be 4.
Okay, so if 6 people show up to 6 regular people show up to the planning commission meeting, you still have your quorum. Does that mean an alternate would be able to vote?
No, the only time an alternate can
Only
vote
if
is
you
if
don't
we're
have a
short.
quorum.
Right.
Okay.
If we're
So
short,
it's not just short a person, you have to be short on the, okay.
right, so.
That's what I had just said to him, yeah.
Yeah, we've met without a quorum, it's just we can't vote on anything. You know, we can sit there and discuss plans and, you know, give feedback to people, we just can't vote on anything, so. But it has happened over the years, you know, particularly maybe during the summer months or some other
Yeah.
time, so.
Vacation,
Right.
people on vacation.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Moving on. Roland, solicitor,
No report.
engineer,
Board will have a full report for the July meeting. These are just some informational issues that don't require action by the board. One is to advise everyone that the chip sealing is scheduled for next week, July 2nd and 3rd. That's of course subject to weather conditions. Also informational, there were final plans submitted that are currently under review for compliance with conditions of approval for the Ragusa property, Creekside at Perkiomen, and Arcadia property. I don't know what to call it right now.
All the above.
On that project, there is a pipe that's going to be replaced during the month of July that crosses Zidlerville Road. And it's a pipe, if you stood in front of this development at the construction entrance and looked in, it's to your right-hand side on Zidlerville Road. To replace that pipe, they're gonna need to close that road while they replace it. They can do that in a day.
It's the one there at Slim's driveway.
Yeah, because the road's narrow there, and it's right after you go over the curve and come over that hill. It's,
Will people be able to get in and out?
Yeah, it'll be just during business hours for them to do the project.
so we're
It
gonna,
wouldn't be closed like we had to for the big culvert project.
yeah, this would be, I actually talked to them about it today, that we wouldn't want it closed until rush hour passed, but they were gonna close it. And then shut off the road just to do that pipe replacement. By the end of the day, that road would be open again. Obviously, we'll ask them to work with the township to notify police, ambulance, fire, and install some road closed and detour signs as appropriate. But just wanted to run it past the board before I let them know it was okay to close that road. It's the safe thing.
Yeah, and can you put something up on the website, just whoever looks there, an announcement?
Absolutely.
ready to go.
Because that's a very heavily traveled road, so that is gonna,
Yeah. The only other thing on my list here is that the Saks Land Development has addressed all the conditions of approval, excepting the PennDOT approval for installing the sidewalk along Big Road. So I'll elaborate on that in next week's report and give you some more information on that. Those are all the items on my report this evening, but I'd be happy to address any questions on these or other engineering matters.
Any other questions, Carol?
okay.
Actually, I do have a question. I remember when we talked about the chip sealing, people were all concerned about, is it gonna stick to my car, what's gonna happen? So can you just briefly reiterate again, should people be concerned, should they not be concerned, should they change their habits at all, or is it gonna be just a non-story?
I think you're gonna find it's a non-story because chip sealing has evolved over time. So the process is they sweep the roads first, and then they lay down emulsion and stone and emulsion and stone. And the emulsion that we have today doesn't track and tack up your cars like what we remember. I still remember scrubbing that tar off 15 years ago. It's miserable. I'm not gonna say nothing's gonna track, but it's laid down, it's a more advanced process than it was, and they actually roll it to compact it then. There's gonna be loose stones for a couple of days, they'll come back within 7 to 10 days and sweep up any loose stones. And then they'll come back again after that, I believe is their spec.
2 weeks after and sweep
Yeah,
it?
this week.
Yeah.
So, so I used to rail against chip seal years ago because I hated putting it in my car. It's not the same process. I don't think it's gonna be nearly as offensive. And this will be the third year that the township has done chip sealing, and you really had minimal complaints in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, and just for your information, Carol has some very interesting charts which shows that if we make this investment, it'll save us a lot of money in the future to do serious repair to the road, so this is preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
Are we using the big stone or the small stone?
Big stone in the first layer, small stone in the second for any roads with curbs. And also, I think we're gonna field change and do Mine Hill that way too, since they're already over there with the two different stones.
Because that was one of the complaints last year from Barb, the big stone back on that road
Yeah.
we used.
Well, PennDOT just updated their spec actually after we went out for bid. The
Okay.
updated spec came out, so now PennDOT allows the smaller stone. So we can do it and be compliant with liquid fuels and we're in good shape.
Alright.
So not every road is that way this year, but a lot of them are that, any of the roads in residential developments for the two different stone sizes, because that did seem to made it better and
It did.
be a nicer product.
Any of our curb roads.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, under police, update under regional policing. Myself, Marla, and Bill McGovern meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock to go over the Lower Frederick's involvement in the regional police effort. We've received, and what has been sent to the state already, letters of intent from Perkiomen, Lower Frederick, Upper Frederick, and Schwenksville. Send an email to Skip-Ack, see where they are in the process, but I haven't heard anything back yet, so that's where we are with that.
And just again to let everyone know, the next step is to do the study, so nothing's gonna happen right away. What is it, 3 to 4 months for the study? Is that,
Could be as much as 6 months.
yeah, so maybe the end of the year we'll know more.
Tom, under Public Works.
The only thing I have under Public Works is the third silencer was ordered today. Sewer plant.
Good.
Carol took care of the chip seal. That's everything I think of at this point.
Okay. Under my report, I really like Lorraine's letter, I guess we'll talk about that in executive session on personnel. Under old business, update on traffic calming. I don't know, Bob, if you have anything to say, or?
Sorry, can we go back to
Oh,
your
sorry.
report?
Yeah.
So we accepted the resignation, you have a second item here, it says authorization to advertise.
Advertise.
So we need to also, do you want us to
Wanna
do
move
that too?
forward with that?
Well, I'm asking you, it's on the agenda, do you want to, or?
I would like to, I mean, I would rather discuss it a little bit to get your opinion as to what we're advertising for,
So that means we can't authorize it till our meeting next week.
or we could go back into session and do it.
Well, you're talking 1 week, if you wanna discuss it then.
Well, what we could do is we can go into an executive session, which is just us, and not officially end the meeting, which means anyone who wants to stick around can,
Right.
and then we would go back into session and we could.
You can
bring up-
reconvene.
We could
and vote.
reconvene and then
Vote to
have a vote.
advertise.
So we would have to just let everybody know what we're going to do, so anyone who wants to stick around, is free to, and then come back into session. So,
Okay.
can I do that?
So if everybody agrees, well,
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You want us to leave?
No, no.
At the end.
After number 8.
Okay. Bob just told me tonight, I guess the traffic calming committee is when, meeting 19th, you said?
Yeah, July 19th, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock will be our next meeting. Kind of works out with the planning commission, even if they don't have a meeting. Carol and Julia would still be there anyway, so seems like it works for everybody.
Will they come if there's no planning commission meeting now,
Yes.
Chuck?
Uncharted territory, I guess.
I
I mean, we could, I can show up and have a meeting of 1, I guess, it just wouldn't be a quorum, I don't know.
I think Bob's point was that it's already on the calendars for myself and the county.
Right.
So even if the planning commission didn't come to fruition, it would already be blocked out on our calendars.
But that doesn't necessarily mean you and Julia will be here. I think
Yeah.
that's what.
No, that's what I'm saying, because it's a regularly scheduled meeting that they're on the books for every third Thursday of the month for the whole year. They're on the books for that, whether they have the meeting or they don't have the meeting for the planning
But
commission.
they're not gonna come if there's no planning commission.
No, I think.
Right,
he's just
that's
saying
why
it's-
we're hosting our meeting on that same evening, which when we first started, I think back in January, we had discussion as to when was the best time.
Okay,
And one of the best times, like if Kevin's gonna be here, which he usually is for the planning commission, then he's here to open the door and everything. You know, it kinda works out best for at least Kevin and Carol and Julia, that it's a night that they would normally be here.
I just wanna make sure I understand that you don't have an expectation that if there's no planning commission meeting, that Carol and Julia won't be here.
And we have the
You'll be here-
expectation
you'll be
that
here
they
for-
will
you'll
be
here for
here.
traffic
We'll be
calming.
here for the traffic calming.
But would Julia be here?
Yes.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a budgeted expense, right, for us to meet every month and have help, and have assistance, so.
Correct.
You know, whether or not we have a meeting after their meetings, doesn't really matter, I don't think. You know, it'll just be advertised separately, you'll have traffic calming committee and planning commission will be two separate advertisements for the same night, right?
Kevin, is there any way so you're advertising every time there's a traffic calming committee?
I haven't been, no.
Well, we
Are we
should.
required to?
If it's,
Well,
no,
We're not.
no, not committee meetings, right? Or as long as, no, unless there were two of you on the committee, in which case it would need to be a public meeting. But committees can be private anytime.
No, they meet publicly, but my question is, since it's a public meeting, does it have to be advertised? Isn't that a
Well,
requirement?
again,
of
they're
public
meeting
meetings
at a
have to be-
different time, isn't that?
Yes.
They meet before the planning commission meeting starts.
Yeah, so we'll meet from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then the planning commission, if they have a meeting that night, they'll go from 7 to whenever.
Well, the reason I
So if
ask
it's
is,
intended to be a public meeting, you advertise.
it is intended to be, is it intended to be a public meeting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want public input.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So that leads me to what I was gonna say, Kevin, is if you can come up with some kind of a regular schedule that would save us some money, we
We
could
usually do
say,
that at the end of the year.
well, I
We
know, but
Advertise for the next year.
are you gonna meet every month? Is that your?
We'll meet
plan?
every Thursday, the third Thursday of every month from now on. So we're,
So
you know,
that
we
would
finally
be
got
one.
into this.
I just don't advertise it. every
Schedule
single
that
month.
works.
That's expensive.
It isn't.
Can you just do one ad and say the traffic calming committee?
You advertise for the year.
Well, but
Well,
that's
they
the rest
weren't
of the-
originally,
Yeah.
they weren't committed at that point.
I mean, that's my 2 cents, I don't know what my colleagues think, but every time we put an advertisement in the paper, people are paying for it, so we can just do one.
Do
instead of-
one for the rest of this year.
Just
list
How's
the
that
dates
sound?
for
Just
6
do one for the
months.
rest of this year.
Is the website considered public advertisement?
No,
I don't think so. I think it needs
Yeah.
to be run in the paper. I do.
Yeah, I do for the regional, I handle that, and yeah, we have to still advertise
It's a public
in
meeting.
the
It
paper.
doesn't necessarily have to be run all in January or all in June.
Nobody
Right.
gets the paper.
It costs, yeah,
Still
it
have
costs
to do it, yeah.
$60 to run the ad, and if we just advertise for every month, even though we meet every other month, because we never know whether we might actually have to meet 2 months in a row, and then somebody puts something on the door, or whatever they need to do to say the meeting is not happening that month,
So you do advertise every month.
The regional does advertise every month, and I know we advertise for our planning commission.
So then why
Yeah.
can't we piggyback onto your
No, but
advertising?
they,
No, we have to advertise now because it wasn't advertised, it hasn't been advertised.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I think planning commission meetings, there's one advertisement at
Right,
the beginning of the
year.
year, which
Yeah, yeah, that's what
lists
we
the
do
whole
it once.
schedule.
Right.
It's already been done.
Yeah, it runs in
Parks-
December or
Parks Board
something. Yeah.
And our meetings as well,
Correct.
that's a pretty big ad.
Is that it?
Well, we had the meeting last week during the planning commission, and I think most of the supervisors were there. What's your take based on what we saw last week with the residents that came over from Village Drive? I mean, obviously, my take on it was that they absolutely don't want the parking stalls put on, and that they would rather go to either a speed table or hump.
Well, I took that was the vote they took.
Right.
Okay, so that's where we stand, if they want the speed bumps or the humps, or whatever you wanna call them,
Okay.
tabletops. But that's the way they wanna go.
Okay, so we'll discuss that on our 19th meeting of
Yes.
July.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's where we'll go from there.
Okay.
And get some input from Chief Maxey, because I think.
Yes, I already put a phone call into
And
him.
should we?
I actually talked to Bill.
We'll
briefly.
talk to the
Fire.
ambulance, that's what
Yeah,
was
the
agreed
fire.
upon,
Yeah.
and the fire.
And the
Yes.
fire company.
Alright.
Because that's gonna affect them.
Okay.
Okay. Any more information on the local tax credit? Terry, you were handling that, if you got
Yeah.
any information.
That was all in Tommy's hands with Josh, and that's where it is, that they picked 3 of the items, and that's what, I'll let you know what they are, okay?
All right.
Because there were several different tax breaks they could do, but I ideally wanted to go with 3 of them, I think.
Okay, all right, just let me know, so we can
Okay.
get moving on that.
And can you put that, if you can find out in this week, can we put that back on the agenda for next week? Because I know that we have to formalize it so they'll get their tax credit.
I'll make sure I get it off Tom.
Okay.
And didn't know if the board wanted to act on the vacancies for the planning commission or table that, or?
Can you read the 4 interested, I know Chuck mentioned 2 of them, the 2 more long-standing ones.
Ron Kerwood was the other one,
Uh-huh.
and I think I emailed you guys all the letters I got.
I did not get that email.
I can, let me go get my folder if you want, hold on a second.
I thought, Rachel, you were the other person.
And that's
Oh,
right.
Rachel, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we. We're good.
Are you guys scheduled to also talk about the equipment for the other room in terms of the, is that on your agenda?
Rachel Hendricks, Terry Bird, Ron Kerwood, and Linda Jansen.
Chuck, do you feel like you have enough information to be able to?
I don't feel comfortable making a vote today, and I apologize to those that have applied, they're sitting in the room, but out of due respect for everybody that's applied, I'd like to be able to read everybody's letter of intention before I would make a decision.
They're not really letters of intention, it's just interest.
A letter of interest, whatever they may have provided I would like to read that first, get a better understanding.
I think a couple of them did provide some more detailed
Okay.
information.
Terry Bird did send an email, and I think he copied everybody on that email, so I have read his.
I think it was one.
But again, I'd like to be able to read everybody's to make a educated decision.
So we'll table that till next week?
Yes, that's fair.
I appreciate it.
Chuck, do you have a dedicated email address with the township now?
I'll give it to you.
Okay, because
Absolutely.
I can forward my, and I
I
also
appreciate
have letters of recommendation from Montgomery County Planning, and 2 people that have resigned have also given me a recommendation. So they might be
I'll give that to
on,
you.
they may be on file, but I'll give you, I could send you my current letter, my previous letter, and then the 2015 recommendation from Monco Planning.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you.
Just an update on the boardroom renovations. I had one company come in and quote me for